Pretty wild. Plus, I got some swing state updates for you in regards to Michigan and Pennsylvania. Big updates. Plus, we'll talk about the border as well. One of the things that's been really weird is Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban has really stepped out in front as a surrogate for Kamala Harris. I don't know if they think it's going to counteract Elon Musk, but they're not sending their best. They're not sending their best. We'll talk about all that and more. Phone lines are open for you. Anything you want to weigh in on, 615-737-9986. That's also the same number for the text line, 615-737-9986. I will say this, though. We are now 2 weeks away from the biggest election in my lifetime, probably yours as well. It could be the most consequential election in the history of the country. We want to spend election night with you. We're going to be broadcasting live all night long from the Wilson County Fairgrounds. And it's going to be a heck of a party. Lebanon, Tennessee, we want you there. And you can get some VIP tickets, but I'm going to be honest with you. If you wait any longer, you're not going to have an opportunity to get them. Yesterday, we had 60% of them sold. Today, we have more than 70% of our VIP tickets sold. Very, very limited amount of VIP tickets. Now, you can come to the party for free. You can come and hang with us, meet us, talk about the process, really just do all the things for free. But if you want to upgrade, those VIP tickets give you all-inclusive food and beverages. Whether it's Dr. Pepper or Tito's or Jack Daniels, that doesn't matter. It'll give you VIP seating. You'll have your seats reserved, and you'll even get some WTN goodie bags. So you get all the food you need, all the drinks you need. You get your seats reserved. There are less than 30% of those tickets left. They're not going to last. They're not going to last. I don't know. What do you think? Another day or two tops?
If that, yeah. I was
Tops.
like, it's been going. I've talked to sales earlier today. They've just been flying off the shelves, essentially.
So, and it's not to be like, ooh, we're selling these tickets real fast. But I know there's a lot of people out there that do want the VIP tickets. I don't want you to hold out too long and then you miss your opportunity.
I mean, just for the seating alone, being able to be right up front in the front row, getting to interact the whole show, I don't even have that exclusivity. So,
Mason's in the back.
I'm in the back. They don't let me up front
We're putting
anymore.
Mason in the back. We're putting Mason in the back.
I think it's because I missed too many events.
This is true.
It's like you got to start at the back, work my way forward.
We don't know if he's actually going to show up.
Hey,
So
you know,
we
that's
don't
fair.
want an empty seat in the
That's
front
fair.
that says Mason on it. So,
I'll be there. I'm going to be there this time, and I'm excited.
perfect. Well, 997WTN.com if you want to get those VIP tickets. Again, less than 30% of those tickets left. So if you want the VIP tickets, you got to act fast. 997WTN.com. All right, so yesterday at this time, we were talking about Kamala Harris completely alienating Christians. And I know that this has been a large topic of discussion because Christians happen to be one of the largest voting blocs that aren't going to vote. And it's like, guys, what are you doing? Are you paying attention to what's happening in America right now? So what happened was Kamala Harris was having a rally in Wisconsin. She was interrupted by two college kids who had the audacity to shout, "Jesus is Lord."
Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally.
Yeah, you guys are at the wrong rally. And I made the point that happened on Friday, and then on Sunday, Kamala Harris was shilling for votes in a black church. Nice. So you're at the wrong rally on Friday, but when she needs votes, she's in the right place Sunday. Well, I have some developments on that. Turns out some of those church members weren't a huge fan of Kamala Harris being there, and good on them. They were very upset that she was there, and you know what happened? The police escorted them out. Yeah, you heard me right. Not only is she telling Jesus-loving Christians that her rallies are no place for them, she's walking into Jesus-loving Christians' churches and saying, hey, this is also no longer a place for you. She had no business being there. She doesn't believe in what she's preaching from that pulpit, and she had members of their own church escorted out by police because they were upset with this pro-abortion candidate being at the front of their church. And an individual on Twitter has the story.
So they didn't show you this on the videos. There are true believers out there, and that lady won't have it. That's absolutely a damn shame. You mean to tell me you got people being escorted by the police out of the house of God? But somebody got to stand up for the word of God.
Amen.
When they see an abomination, when they see a Jezebel on that stage, that lady had to speak out.
Preach.
Kamala, how much did you pay that church? And Jamal, what deal did you make? That's a damn shame, New Birth. But that's what discernment is. Only true believers will speak out like that. And being real, I'm sure that lady won't be back at that church. She probably was a member of that church. Again, that lady don't love Christ. And this happened in a black church, and y'all still can't see the demon that this woman is. All these people come to do is praise God, but instead, they get a demon sitting at the front of their pulpit. New Birth, you should be ashamed of your damn self. That don't make no damn sense.
He's not wrong. He's not. Where's the lie? And I do think it's important for Christians, especially politically active Christians, to evaluate where your church is. I've done this myself. We were church hopping, and we found a spot, a Baptist church that we had liked, and I'll be honest with you, my pastor was weak on the issues. He just was. And I tried to talk to him about the issues, and I got brushed off. And when I realized that wasn't a church for me, well, I left. And that's when I found, Alan Jackson and those guys over at World Outreach, people that aren't afraid to speak truth from the pulpit. And it's just, a lot of these things aren't even political issues. These are biblical issues. This isn't political at all. The abortion stuff, it's not political. It's biblical. It's biblical. The kids and the trans surgeries, it's not political. That's biblical. Find a church that believes in the Bible. Honestly, find a church that isn't going to welcome in a fake candidate like Kamala Harris to tell you that you need to vote for her. That's what you need. Donald Trump in North Carolina yesterday addressing Christians, and this is how God is in the details, right? Like, Trump didn't know that Kamala Harris was going to say that. Trump didn't know that Kamala Harris was going to have people escorted out of a church. Trump had no idea. This was on the schedule. And God is in the details, and he has an opportunity to address Christians in North Carolina.
So I'm here tonight to deliver a simple message to Christians across America. It's time to stand up and save your country. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. On November 5th, Christian voters need to turn out in the largest numbers ever. Do you know that if you did that, because you have a reputation of not voting proportionately like you should, you do know that. I think that maybe is a form of rebellion. Could that be possible? The two groups, not to equate them, but they are probably associated in some form, but Christians, evangelicals, but Christians and gun owners. Gun owners don't vote. They vote, but very small proportions. If they did, or if Christians did, nobody could ever beat us. Nobody.
He's absolutely right. If 30 million Christians are going to sit out of this election, are you kidding me? You don't think that would make a difference if they all decided to vote? Pastors need to step up and say, guys, look at what we have. Look at the choices in front of us. Pastors need to take a stand. And Trump in North Carolina talking about his own experience with God and talking about how his faith has changed since the assassination attempt.
And my faith took on new meaning on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania, where I was knocked to the ground, essentially, by what seemed like a supernatural hand And I would like to think that God saved me for a purpose, and that's to make our country greater than ever before. Thank you.
He's here for a reason. He's here for a reason. And he makes the point, if you want to know what's at stake for Christians in the race, well, all you have to do is listen to what Kamala Harris said at that event in Wisconsin on Friday. You are not welcome here.
But we're 15 days away from the most important election in the history of our country. And if you want to know what is at stake for Christians in this race, just listen to what Kamala Harris had to say last week, because when two college students, religious college students, and very good people, everybody said what wonderful young men they were and are. At a campaign stop, she heard shouting from the background, "Jesus is Lord. Jesus is Lord." And Kamala Harris ridiculed them, mocked them, and told them they were, quote, "You're at the wrong rally. She basically said, "Get out," but I won't say that because people didn't hear that so much. But she said, "You're at the wrong rally." And that's really what she meant. That's really what she meant. She's very destructive to religion. She's very destructive to Christianity and very destructive to evangelicals and to the Catholic Church. And she is, let me put it this way, Ben, she is your worst nightmare. Much worse than Biden, and he wasn't so hot. But while Kamala says that people who believe in Jesus don't belong to her rallies, you have to remember that that's as loud as it can be. In fact, a lot of people said that would be disqualifying for her. That would be a disqualification. In our movement, we love Christians, we welcome believers, and we embrace followers of Jesus. Thank you.
And then something cool happens here. The crowd starts chanting Jesus. And I don't know about you, but I can't recall another time in my life where I've heard a crowd outside of a church chanting Jesus. I love to see it. I really do. Christians, if you're on the fence about voting and you're feeling like you're going to sit this one out, it's time to really dig into that Bible and look at what we're dealing with here. Look at what we're dealing with here. You can go on any topic. You can talk about the abortion topic, or you can talk about the southern border. I'm going to actually, you know what? I have something to say about the southern border and Christians. I'm going to bring that up when we get back. It's not just abortion why Christians should be voting for Donald Trump. The southern border is a massive reason why Christians should be voting for Donald Trump, and I'll tell you about that next. It's 9:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
What our Secretary of State will chat about today with Israel's prime minister in a sit-down. Also, Antioch police think a security guard's story about being shot just isn't adding up. Those stories coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. Did you say it was our Secretary of State is going to be sitting down with Israel's prime minister?
Yes, he is.
Why?
Well, you would think that might be the president that would do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not happening.
Interesting.
Yep.
All right, looking
Still
forward.
warm on the beach in some places.
This is true. Looking forward to that newscast with Joan Jones on the way. You know, oftentimes with Christians, we think that the major issue why we can't vote for the left is the topic of abortion. But I wanted to play you this clip and really hammer home the fact that there's more than just that one reason why Christians shouldn't be voting for the left and Kamala Harris. And it's the southern border.
One of the first actions that Kamala Harris took with Joe Biden was to get rid of DNA testing. So here's how it works. They show up on the border, trembling 13-year-old girl who obviously, was just raped a couple times. You could tell her head is down. I've seen it myself. You can go to Yuma to see it. Is looking down, and a muscular 35-year-old pimp says, "I'm her dad." And there is no DNA testing that occurs. So instead, they just say, sign on the paperwork, here's your asylum date, it's in 3 years, of course it never comes, and the girl is now a sex slave in the United States. Under Trump, we do a DNA test, be like, you're lying, that's not correct, we're gonna find out who her parents actually are, because we're not gonna co-sign to her becoming the worst thing that we could possibly tolerate. However, the church is uninterested in this. Exactly. Pastors are too interested in bigger buildings and more budgets and not in the fact that kids, God's children, are being sold as sex slaves in our own country.
He's right, Kids are being sold as sex slaves in our country. Hundreds of thousands of kids going missing under Biden-Harris. You think that that's not going to continue if Kamala Harris wins in November? Christians, where are you at? I'm reminded there was a lot of Christians turning their head during the Holocaust and looking the other way, right? Are we not seeing the largest slave trade that's happened in our lifetimes under our nose because of the Biden-Harris administration? Kids being sold into sex slavery in this country, and the church is silent. Most churches. And if your church is silent on that, it's time to find a better church. Christians, where are you at? We got 2 weeks to go until the biggest election of our lifetime. Christians need to mobilize. Christians need to vote. You need to be having this conversation at church on Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, in your small groups, in your Bible studies. Get active. It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, good morning. It is now 9:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. An important meeting in Israel today between U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Discuss on Gaza. U.S. officials say they want to take advantage of the killing of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar to push the conflict towards some kind of resolution, as well as focus on the lack of aid reaching the most desperate areas of northern Gaza.
Now, that's ABC's Tom Soufi Burridge. The two will also talk about Israel's attacks on Hezbollah in Lebanon and the potential for Israeli retaliation against Iran. A couple of disaster loan outreach centers are opening in Murray and Sumner counties today. They'll help people affected by severe tornadoes and flooding that happened on May 8th of this year. They are in Columbia at Murray County Fire Station 30, and a second center opens at the Gallatin Public Utilities. Both centers will operate Monday through Saturday. One person died in Murray County during the May 8th tornado, and more than 100 homes were damaged. Areas of Sumner County dealt with severe flooding. There's a new scrutiny over a shooting at Ivana Collins Creek apartment complex in Antioch. A security guard there told police he was shot while patrolling, but police say the guard has changed his story several times, and they've only found one shell casing. That was in the driver's seat of the security vehicle. Neighbors in that complex tell Channel 4 they have become alarmed at the number of incidents there.
It's too much going on in the property. It's always something. It's not cheap nowadays, so you want to feel comfortable where you're staying and like where you're staying, not come outside and see like trash and obviously police present and you don't know what's going on or why they're here.
Market Numbers Report now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Well, the Dow Jones Industrials are down 197, but the NASDAQ has just turned positive. It's up by 2 points. And the S&P 500 index is minus 19. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand from 99.7 WTN. If you're thinking about advertising this year in 2025 and beyond, you have to combine the power of radio with the power of digital. We do it here flawlessly, and our sales team can hook you up with a package tailored to your exact needs. So if you want to advertise, advertise with me. Advertise with 99.7 WTN. Go to the website for more info, 997wtn.com/epic.
One of the first actions that Kamala Harris took with Joe Biden was to get rid of DNA testing. So here's how it works. They show up on the border, trembling 13-year-old girl who obviously, was just raped a couple times. You could tell her head is down. I've seen it myself. You can go to Yuma to see it, is looking down, and a muscular 35-year-old pimp says, "I'm her dad." And there is no DNA testing that occurs. So instead, they just say, sign on the paperwork, here's your asylum date, it's in 3 years, of course it never comes, and the girl is now a sex slave in the United States. Under Trump, we do a DNA test, be like, you're lying, that's not correct, we're gonna find out who her parents actually are, because we're not gonna co-sign to her becoming the worst thing that we could possibly tolerate. However, the church is uninterested in this. Exactly. Pastors are too interested in bigger buildings and more budgets and not in the fact that kids, God's children, are being sold as sex slaves in our own country.
That's Charlie Kirk, and he's absolutely right. Christians could be one of the largest voting blocs that just don't. And it's disgusting to me. I don't know how you could sit this one out. I have no idea how you could sit this one out. And I tend to think pastors aren't shepherding their flock. They're not guiding their churches in the right direction. You see what's happening on the southern border. How could you turn a blind eye to that? It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. Where are the Christians at that are sitting this one out? 30 million? 30 million. It blows my mind, especially when it comes to the southern border. Mark Cuban has been out there trying to shill for the Harris administration, the Harris campaign, the Harris regime. And when the topic of the southern border came up during a CNN interview, Cuban had an interesting take as to why we've seen so much illegal immigration under Biden and Harris.
So when it comes to criminalizing and not criminalizing crossing the border, that is just so stark, but you view that as an evolution.
Yeah, look, here's my opinion. I'm not speaking for the campaign with this. Yeah. I thought their hearts were too big when Joe came into office, that they didn't know how many people would cross the border, and it got away from them.
Their hearts were too big, says Mark Cuban. Oh, they were too caring, too kind, too compassionate. They just loved too much. As children are being sold into sex slavery, as children are being sold to go work in random factories across the country, your hearts are too big. Your hearts are so big that you didn't even notice the 300,000 plus children missing in this country. Your hearts, they're just so big, they overflow with so much love. Are you paying attention to what's happening in real time? Are you paying attention? Our hearts were too big, Mark Cuban says. They just loved too much. It's you got story after story after story. And, I saw one, their students being pushed out of a school district in Indiana County. And it's because they've imported too many Haitians. So kids in the city of Logansport, Indiana, are reportedly being forced out of their schools because the county's population is expanded by 30% via Haitian migrants under the Biden-Harris administration. Their hearts, guys, their hearts are so big for everyone but their own citizens. If residents in this city no longer feel safe. This is from the New York Post. The residents obviously are blaming Joe Biden and Harris for the chaos that has struck the city, as they should. As they should. There's a local photographer, Candace Espinoza. She told the New York Post that she has a message to Harris, and it's do something. Do something. Our community cannot withstand this many people being here. There's a mother of two in the same article, Nancy Baker, and she was more blunt and said if Harris were to come to her home, she would say, get off my lawn. Get off my property. Yep. I probably wouldn't be as reserved as that, to be perfectly honest with you. She said, I don't see how she can stand behind Biden the whole time. And she keeps deflecting anytime they ask questions, an Indiana resident added. The Post reported that the population of Cass County has increased by around 30% because of the many migrants moving into the county of 38,000 people. So it's a county of 38,000. They've imported 11,000 more since 2020. The Haitian migrant student population in Logansport, Indiana, in their schools has increased 15 times over just this year. So there's no room for the American citizen students. Their hearts are too big. Their hearts are too big. I also think it's worth noting in this Mark Cuban clip. He says we didn't know as many people were going to cross.
So when it comes to criminalizing and not criminalizing crossing the border, I mean, that is just so stark. But you view that as an evolution.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's my opinion. I'm not speaking for the campaign with this. Yeah. I thought their hearts were too big when Joe came into office, that they didn't know how many people would cross the border, and it got away from them.
It got away from them. Now, Mark Cuban completely ignores the fact that they actually created a brand new app to fly migrants into the country. In the case of Haitians, they took what would be an immigrant that would have been denied and gave them temporary protected status and brought him in anyway. Their hearts were too big, guys. It got away from them. When they were flying these people into our country in the dead of night, away from the cameras, to smaller airports like Chattanooga, it got away from them. It's just, our hearts were too big. Our hearts were too big. Blows my mind. Christians are going to sit this election out. 30 million Christians are going to sit this one out. How? Why? What are you paying attention to? Are you looking at the news if you're going to sit this one out? Honestly. And it just keeps going. It's like, even with this election coming, you still get more and more bad news from the border. I got a story here. The Sinaloa cartel, drug cartel, the same ones that Donald Trump wants to designate as terrorist organizations that the Biden-Harris administration has basically given them, carte blanche to operate as they will. The Sinaloa drug cartel has now given its members the green light to shoot and kill U.S. border agents. Have we heard anything from the Biden-Harris administration? Crickets, right? Their hearts are too big. They just got big hearts, guys. Not hearts for any Border Patrol members who may lose their lives or their families. Their hearts are too big for non-citizens. Sinaloa drug cartel gangsters have been let loose by their bosses to shoot and kill Customs and Border Protection agents. News Nation reported this on Thursday. The story's from the Post Millennial. There's always been an understanding between the cartels and the Border Patrol that the gangs wouldn't use lethal force against the U.S. agents lest they invite a massive retaliatory response from the U.S. security and police. But now they don't fear retaliation from the U.S. And just last week, according to the memo obtained by News Nation, ranch contractors in the Eagle Pass area of the Del Rio sector in Texas said they were fired upon by shooters in Mexico. The workers reported seeing numerous individuals where the firing originated, but it was impossible to assess exactly how many. There were no fatalities or injuries reported as a result of this shooting. You don't hear about this on ABC or CBS or NBC. The only way you would hear about it is if an American citizen decided to return fire, because then the news would be like, hey, great, look at these racist Americans that we have at the border. It's crazy. Victor Avila, a former special agent with Homeland Security Investigation, told News Nation that CBP and all law enforcement agencies connected with border security need to take this new development very, very seriously. They say it indicates the structural deterioration of the Sinaloa cartel and the willingness of the surviving factions to take greater risks to commit their criminal activity. He said the number one reason they fight for these plazas is because these plazas are the corridors to enter the United States, whether it's California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. And that's the major fight because the Sinaloa cartel has controlled that whole area. It's getting dicier and dicier because the money has been getting better and better and better. under Biden-Harris, you have the flow of child sex slaves. You have women being sold into sex slavery. You have actual slavery where people, to pay off the cartels, have to go work in factories. Kids also. The money's too good. The money's too good. It's insane. Christians are going to set this one out. Maybe your hearts are too big. Maybe you're like Mark Cuban. You just have a big heart if you're going to sit this one out. And along with the heightened level of violence, the syndicate also appears to be using more sophisticated military-grade weaponry to commit its crime. Yep. These are the organizations that Donald Trump says we should go on the offensive to take out. These are the organizations that Donald Trump says we need to label as terrorist organizations. These are the same organizations that we don't hear anything about from the Biden-Harris administration. Who do you want controlling the southern border? Cartels? Because that's who's controlling it right now. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. And it's story after story after story. There's also a report of a brand new caravan heading our way. See, like, as crazy as all this news is, you can look at the polling, you can look at what's happening on the streets. Everybody does understand that Donald Trump has a very good chance of winning this race. So you're in a time crunch, right? And now there's a report of a new caravan, 2,500 migrants departing southern Mexico, bound for the U.S. border. This is all according to social media. Breitbart has the story. 2,500 migrants, illegal aliens, departed from southern Mexico on Sunday. The group departed from Tapachula, Chiapas, to reach the U.S.-Mexico border before the upcoming presidential election. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Journalist Wid Lyman posted a Real America's Voice video on X that reports that about 2,500 migrants are headed straight for us. And the video is shocking. They're all military-aged males, as far as the eye can see. I know that doesn't surprise you, but I hope this wakes somebody up. The Associated Press estimates the number of migrants in the caravan at about 2,000. The news organization reported that this is the third and largest such caravan departing from southern Mexico since they got their new president sworn into office earlier this month. So far, the new Mexican president has made no changes to the country's immigration policy, and it was about a week earlier that Breitbart Texas reported that there was a 1,000-person migrant caravan departing from the same region in an attempt to reach the U.S. border before the presidential election. There's only one option if you want to get things fixed, as far as I'm concerned. Mark Cuban can say, hey, the southern border got away from us. The border crossings got away from us. Our hearts were too big. And I just wonder, your hearts were too big for who? Were your hearts too big for the kids being sold into sex slavery? What about Laken Riley's family or Jocelyn Nungary's family or Rachel Marin's family? I mean, we can go on and on and on, the devastation and the destruction that's been caused by this weak, inept, and ineffective administration. And some people may just let it continue by sitting it out. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. And all the while, the country gets less and less safe. Which way, Western man? Which way? It's 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You hear us talking about the heightened crime, the heightened risk, and you got to understand it's your job to protect you. I understand that, and that's why I train at the Glock store. I actually had a training session there yesterday. If you're going to book a session, I recommend Mitch. He's a great guy. That's who I'm training with, and I love training at the Glock store. I have a new EDC that I got to try out yesterday. I have my other Smith & Wesson that I really like. I brought them both and had a good hour shooting in an open room. Not a lane. Not a lane. The Shoot 270 private rooms with a private instructor. We're practicing real-world tactics. We're actually doing drills and different things. It's totally unique. You won't find another experience like this in Nashville. If you need to get you're training in, I suggest you do it at the Glock store. That's where I do my training. It's minutes from the airport. It's worth the drive from anywhere. And you can schedule your training session right now at Glockstore.com. That's Glockstore.com.
Hey, what's happening in Russia today that's intended to take a shot at U.S. dominance in the world? Also, why there will be more than one Christmas parade in Cookeville this year. Those stories coming up at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Is anybody going to be mad about more Christmas parades?
Well, you might be. You're going to be very interested in this story.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Joan Jones doing a fantastic job in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. It's 9:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm getting a lot of texts of people that are rather surprised that Christians are sitting this election out. I am too. Reported 30 million Christians may sit it out. 30 million? You understand that it would be a landslide if every Christian voted, right? You understand that. I also got a hate texter here. He said, how can you call yourself a Christian and pretend that pastors aren't doing their job if they aren't politically active and on your side? You're demonstrating a complete ignorance of what Jesus' ministry was about, and the entire lesson of the Bible, for that matter. And I'm not voting for Kamala before you go there. And then I didn't respond quick enough. So he said, oh, nice. Apparently you're a chicken bleep, too.
Ooh.
Huh. All right. Well, sir, I think I made my points and my reasons quite clear. And I would love for you to call in 3449. You're more than welcome to make your argument on the air as to why I am a chicken bleep. But I think when you look at the sex slavery with kids, when you look at the topic of abortion, how could a Christian not vote for the party that's behind them? I don't understand. I'm a chicken bleep, though. Well, I see your accusation of chicken bleep, and I raise you one. 3449. If you don't call in and make your points known, well then, sir, I think you may be a chicken bleep. There you go. I don't know what else to tell you. Call in. I hope you do. It's 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 10 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're sitting at 58 degrees now, headed up to 82 later. Stick around for the full forecast in a couple of minutes. A big 3-day global financial gathering kicks off in Russia today. It defies the current U.S.-led dollar world order.
President Putin is hosting the so-called BRICS summit. In attendance, big players like the leaders of China and India, among the 36 nations represented. Observers see it as part of efforts to showcase support for the global South amid spiraling tensions with the West while helping to expand economic ties. Proposed projects include the creation of a new payment system that would offer an alternative to the SWIFT global banking network. Tom Rivers, ABC News at the Foreign Desk.
Locally, who is vandalizing homes in Franklin? Well, Chelsea Understander from the West Haven community tells Channel 4 they went all out to create a Halloween display that someone flattened on Sunday morning.
You spend so much time building like an art sculpture like that, and then someone just like tackles it and runs it down. So yeah, it's just a shame.
She says some of the neighbors had windows broken and garage doors kicked in. Another neighbor's window was broken when someone threw a pumpkin through it. Disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein has been diagnosed with bone cancer. CNN reporting Weinstein's undergoing treatment at Rikers Island Prison in New York. Last month, he underwent emergency heart surgery. Earlier this year, an appeals court overturned Weinstein's 2020 conviction, which was a pivotal turning point in the Me Too movement. He's tentatively set to be retried, make that in New York on November 12th. The IRS has unveiled higher federal tax brackets for 2025 to adjust for inflation by raising the income thresholds for each bracket. The standard deduction will increase to $30,000 for married couples filing jointly and $15,000 for single taxpayers. After 2025, lower taxes enacted by former President Donald Trump will sunset if Congress doesn't take action. And it appears that Cookeville will have more than one Christmas parade this year. The main parade, organized by a group sponsored by a group of churches, is requiring anyone taking part to sign a statement that says they believe in one God who created marriage solely between the male and female sex and that they believe human life starts at conception. Groups opposed to those statements are forming their own holiday party. Well, stocks this morning, market numbers are brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. We're looking at stocks kind of flat at this moment. Dow Jones Industrials are down 104, but the NASDAQ is up just a fraction, and the S&P 500 index is down 14 points. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I've been going back and forth with that hate texter. He sent me a picture of himself. He said he's working, and then he sent a picture of himself in Target. That's why he can't call in.
Ah, that makes sense. Tell him to take his 15.
Take a quick 15. It'll be quick. He said, I don't have time to BS people to make points. I don't know. What did I say that was a lie? I don't know. Listen, people are upset right now. He also has that the picture he sent me. I don't know why he sent a picture, but he's got that crazy Dem look in his eyes. You know the one.
Oh no, I know the one.
You know the one. Billy in Nashville wants to talk about illegal aliens. What's up, Billy?
Hey, how you doing, Chris?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm a truck driver. I had to go down and get my driver's license renewed last week, and I saw some of these illegal aliens coming in there with passports. They're getting them from down here at the Global Mall. Then they hit the driver's test station, get their driver's license, and that's all you need for a voter's registration.
Down here in Tennessee?
Yeah.
Interesting.
We need to plug that loophole up.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of things need to change, man. And if we don't get a change in an administration, nothing is going to change.
Well, that goes also for the state and local, too.
Yeah, I mean, some of our state and local are pretty good. Some of them need some work, and that's for sure. That's for sure.
Oh, and when they vote stuff like this in, it kills us, you know.
Yeah.
Now you got the magnet going full blast: free food, free cars, voter's registration, driver's license.
Yep. We have to demagnetize it, as Uncle Phil used to say. You got to demagnetize the country. You have to.
Yep. Starve them, they'll go back.
Yep. Hey, I appreciate the call, Billy. I think once Trump wins, you're going to see a lot of people start packing their bags. You just will. Why wait to be deported? Why? Dave in Mount Juliet's been waiting on the line for a minute. I appreciate you holding, Dave. What do you got?
Hey, buddy, how you doing today?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Yeah. I backed off from calling you past Musk. Yesterday, the Christian thing, you know, I don't get it like you. But I heard something yesterday, and I had to call you back today.
Yeah, hit me, man. What's up?
If I do believe the Lord had something to do with Trump still being here with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard. I think it's hard to make the argument that he didn't.
Exactly. You know, and you know, the Lord doesn't always use the best person for the job. And I kind of look at it like this, and if, I agree with the gentleman that I heard yesterday. He said this: if God is using him to help straighten our country or to give us another chance, I'm not going to go against him.
Yeah, I'm with you. And one time I heard a saying, and it's always stuck with me. It's God doesn't call the qualified; He qualifies the called.
Exactly. And you know, if you're going against Trump, you don't vote on him. To me, you're going against God. You're going against the person that He has chosen to do some work for Him.
Yep.
That is not. I don't want to take that chance.
Yeah.
Even if I feel like Trump.
I hear you, Dave. I totally get your point, man, and I appreciate the call as always. Thanks for holding as long as you did, buddy. I really appreciate you. You know, I think Dave has a point. Dave has a point. Or you could vote for Kamala, who's saying Christians aren't welcome at her rallies and having police escort Christians out of their own church. You know, hey, that's a route to go. You could go with the candidate that wants abortion on demand up until birth. That's a route to go. You can go with the candidate that's going to continue the child sex slavery trade in our country. I mean, hey, if that's the direction you want to go, that's you have your right for that. You know, you can do that. I don't want to continue that route. Kamala Harris can't even hold a town hall with real questions from real people. This was last night. She's doing a town hall, and Maria Shriver, she says the quiet part out loud before things get started. She was asked if an audience member asked her if they'd be allowed to ask questions.
You're not, unfortunately. We have some predetermined questions, and hopefully I'll be able to ask some of the questions that might be in your head. I hope so.
Oh, hopefully. Well, the questions in my head would be, what happened to the 325,000 missing children? She didn't get to that one. Another question in my head is, where's the line on abortion, Kamala? Where is it? She didn't ask that one either. Nice, right? Kamala got to some things, right? She was asked about her plan to preserve and strengthen Social Security, which I know it's a big deal with seniors out there. And you know, Donald Trump has promised to not tax your Social Security checks, and anybody living on a fixed income under Biden-Harris understands how hard it's gotten because of the inflation that they've caused. And people worry. You know, I've made the comments in the past. I have no realistic expectation of ever getting a Social Security check. I am 36 years old. I just don't see it happening in my lifetime. I just don't. But Kamala, what are your plans to strengthen Social Security?
How can we protect the health of both Social Security and Medicare without reducing the benefits?
Thank you.
So
First of all, thank you for your question. Actually, just today, I believe it was, within the last 24 hours or so, an independent review of Donald Trump's policy on Social Security.
Oh, what a pivot. She doesn't even get to her own plan. She goes right to Donald Trump. I actually looked at Donald Trump's plan. That wasn't the question. And a lot of people are saying that Kamala is losing focus over the anti-Trump messaging. And personally, I'm like, yo, keep going. Keep going. You have nothing to offer the American people except orange man bad. But even former Democratic presidential candidate himself, Dean Phillips, who I'll point out received more votes in the primaries than Kamala Harris, he's been slamming Harris over her anti-Trump focus and messaging. He's saying that she's wasting time, she's wasting money, she's pushing a message to tear down the GOP nominee. And he said that the Democrat nominee is losing voters over this message. He posted this on Twitter yesterday. He said, $1 billion will have been wasted on losing voters by condemnation versus winning them by invitation. She just needed to be clear about what she believes, what she'll do differently than Biden, and offer common sense solutions to our problems. Well, the issue there is the need for Kamala to be clear about what she believes and what she'll do differently than Biden and offer common sense. Those are three things that are actually very hard for Kamala Harris. During this town hall, though, she had opportunities. She had opportunities to invite those moderates in. You know, she's sitting next to Liz Cheney, which is just an awkward look. How did Democrats reconcile that? On the right, we've welcomed in people like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK, and they have clear defined goals for why they want to work with Donald Trump. What is Liz Cheney's clear defined goal for wanting to work with Kamala Harris? It's just orange man bad and more war now, please. Is that the only clear defined goal? But Dean Phillips makes a point. You got to invite these people in. And maybe that's what she thinks she's doing with Liz Cheney. I think she's scaring people away, including people in her own party. And at one point during this town hall, Kamala almost smears Trump supporters. And then she realizes that she's doing it and quickly pivots.
The notion over the last several years coming from Trump and those who follow him, meaning people like who he's running with, not his voters, but just others.
Yeah, sure. Not the voters, right? Like, dude, come on. She was about to smear an entire portion of the population, over half the country. And then she realizes what she was doing and quickly pivoted out of that. She doesn't like you. She doesn't care about you. And everything that we can point to from historical data over their last 3.5 years shows that she values non-citizens over citizens. This is Kamala Harris. This is her best. This is her best. And even when she tries to be like a regular human, she fails miserably.
Everybody I talk to says, I have to turn off the news. I can't read anything. I'm meditating. I'm doing yoga. I'm so anxious. I just don't even know. I'm eating gummies, all kinds of things, What are you doing? What are you doing?
Not eating gummies.
It's just cringe and fake laughter. And at a certain point, even Liz Cheney has this look on her face like, what the hell am I doing here? It's so cringy. And yes, Kamala, we understand that you prefer alcohol over gummies. I think that's been observed multiple times. But she's very revealing in this town hall. Very revealing. The pressure is getting to her, and you can tell the way she's talking.
Do you sleep?
I wake up in the middle of the night usually these days. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm waking up in the middle of the night. Cold sweats. You panicked. I would be panicked. And it seems like a lot of people inside the Democrat Party are panicked. I understand why. Kamala doesn't have a message or a platform to run on other than orange man bad. On the flip side, Donald Trump has a record to run on, and he can point to the failures of the Biden-Harris administration.
Thank you. And I'm thrilled to be back in this incredible state with thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. That's what you are. And I'd like to begin by asking a question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? I don't think so.
I mean, that's the only question you need to ask.
Not even close. That's a big question. Think about that, right? We have to get out and vote. I'm here today with a message of hope for all Americans. With your vote in this election, I will end inflation, I will stop the invasion, and I will bring back the American dream.
That was in Greenville, North Carolina yesterday. Donald Trump hitting the campaign trail hard. He's actually holding a round table in Miami right now with Latino voters. The Latino vote, I mean, this is another thing that's got to just scare them entirely. The Latino vote is swinging for Trump bigly. It's not shocking. I know you're not surprised by that, you know, when you see Latino voters coming out for Trump, when you see black voters coming out for Trump, but it does have to panic. It does panic the left. Right now, among Latino voters in the current election, according to a USA Today Suffolk University poll, Trump is leading Harris among Latino voters 49-38. That's crazy. And Kamala is campaigning on complete amnesty and open borders and a continuation of the failed policies that we've seen for the last 3.5 years. Trump is campaigning on a mass deportation effort. This shouldn't be happening. The left doesn't know what to do with this. It's because everybody understands what needs to be done. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Is your community safer today than it was 4 years ago? Honestly. The left is unhinged, though, and they attack this man any way they can. James Carville, I don't know if James Carville's even relevant anymore. I don't know if I would call him relevant. But he was on CNN yesterday, and he said something so unhinged, so radical, that even the CNN host, his eyes bulged out of his head when he heard James Carville say it. He couldn't believe that these words came out of his mouth. I'll play it for you next. It's 10:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Up ahead on Super Talk 99.7. We'll tell you what's happening in Russia today that is intended to poke the United States. Also, we'll take a look at China's moves to threaten Taiwan and new calls to make it safer to cross the streets in downtown Nashville. Those stories at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 10:25 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, and Instagram at Chris Hand on Air. Although I'll be honest with you, I don't do the Truth Social much. I have the account. You got to have the account, but I'm more on the gram and on the Twitter. That's where I reside mostly.
Yeah, you have the Truth Social just to nail those great posts from Donald Trump.
Exactly. At Chris Hand on Air, hit the follow button. I will follow back. So I said James Carville. Is James Carville relevant anymore? I'll ask the super text line 615-737-9986. Do you find James Carville relevant anymore? I said he was on CNN. I misspoke. He was on MSNBC, which actually makes this a little bit more understandable.
The Ragin' Cajun.
The Ragin' Cajun. Do you think he's relevant anymore, John?
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit.
When I hear him talk, I think, why are people still paying attention to that?
They do, and this actually fits on MSNBC.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is James Carville, who is a Kamala surrogate, mind you. This is him talking about President Trump's candidacy yesterday.
So the other question is, were you better off 4 years ago? Are you going to be better off in a penitentiary 4 years from now, or still having the right of free speech and the right of political dissent? Because that's literally what's on the ballot. And I suspect in 1941, I don't know if people thought they were better off than they were 4 years ago, or in 1861, what people thought. But I know this, when the Republic was threatened, people picked up arms and answered the call. When 1965, in the middle of the Civil Rights Movement, I think people decided they want to take matters in their own hands and create a better country. And that's what I hope we do here in the next 2 weeks.
And the MSNBC host, his eyes just kind of bulge because he realizes what James Carville is saying.
Yeah.
What? This is the rhetoric that we get from the left. And James Carville in the beginning there, he's like, oh, it's about free speech. Is it? Under the Biden-Harris administration, we were censored and shut down. By the grace of God, Elon Musk bought Twitter, and we actually have a free speech platform. And I do believe that it's actually changed the trajectory of this election, having a place where we can share ideas and information without the censorship industrial complex putting their thumb on the scale. But he essentially calls for violence against Donald Trump at the end there. People took matters into their own hands, and I hope that's what happens in the next 2 weeks. This is what panic looks like on the left. And I think that James Carville, down deep inside him somewhere, understands that that's the only way the left wins, is if Donald Trump isn't there. And it's this kind of rhetoric that got Trump shot at once, almost shot at a second time. And this is just the insanity that we see constantly from the left. Constantly. I can't believe that MSNBC allowed that on the air and didn't just immediately issue an apology. That they should have immediately issued an apology. But they won't. They won't. And that was MSNBC, but CNN is just as bad. They've been the left has been chastising everyone for not voting for Kamala. They chastised black voters. They had Barack go do it. They're chastising men. You're a misogynist if you don't vote for Kamala. And Angela Rye on CNN wants to address the elephant in the room, which is white people, and she doesn't want white people to escape accountability for not showing up to save democracy.
Yeah, speaking of laying this at the feet of black men and honest conversations, former President Obama was back out last night. This is the first time since he was in Pittsburgh, and invoked the potential of sexism in his appeal to black men to support the vice president. Angela, should there be a course correction? Because there was so much backlash to that framework, was it a mistake for the former president to say what he did or to say it publicly? What was your assessment of what we heard from former President Obama?
You know, I think that it's wonderful that President Obama is out hitting the trail for democracy, frankly. And what I think is a mistake is to let white folks escape the accountability that they must face for not showing up to save democracy themselves.
Yeah, okay. Is there going to be a course correction after Obama chastised black males? And Angela Rye says, yes, actually. The course correction is going to be blaming white people. Okay. This is how bad things have gotten on the left over these past couple of days. And it's gotten so bad after the McDonald's visit over the weekend that even AOC is out giving her own unhinged rants. I'll bring you what AOC said about Trump's McDonald's visit when we get back. It's 10:30 on Super Talk. Time for the news with Joan Jones.
10:30 now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The man who hit several people boarding a downtown rideshare van with his car Friday is scheduled to make a court appearance today. John Williams charged with killing a tourist from Wisconsin in that DUI crash. And that wasn't the only deadly crash in downtown last weekend. A prominent lawyer from New Jersey was also killed while attempting to cross Broadway. He was in the crosswalk. Jeannie Stenner, who went to a concert with friends, tells Channel 4 they're constantly looking out for cars.
It's scary. It's dangerous. I don't know how they can improve it, slow the speed limit down. I don't know. Make more time for people to walk across, make it more visible.
The crashes are renewing calls for safety improvements downtown. China holds live fire drills opposite of Taiwan. We get details on that from ABC's Tom Rivers at the Foreign Desk.
The exercises held off the coast of its southern Fujian province, which faces Taiwan. It comes just a week after a massive air and sea drill it called punishment for Taiwan's president rejecting Beijing's claims of sovereignty. Ships were alerted to avoid the area during this latest live fire exercise. Tom Rivers, ABC News at the Foreign Desk.
A couple of disaster loan outreach centers are opening today in Murray and Sumner counties to help people affected by severe tornadoes and flooding that happened on May 8th of this year. They're in Columbia at Murray County Fire Station 30. And then a second center opens at the Gallatin Public Utilities. Both centers operate Monday through Saturday. One person died in Murray County during the May 8th tornado, and more than 100 homes were damaged. Areas of Sumner County dealt with severe flooding. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Some losses on Wall Street this afternoon or this morning. Dow Jones Industrials down 72 at the moment. NASDAQ falling 23. The S&P 500 index is minus 14. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. Chris Hand here for my friend Shane Ring at Cover Nash. I actually have been getting more texts, more DMs, more questions. Hey, Chris, who's your insurance guy? Well, it's Shane Ring over at Cover Nash. So grab a pen because you're not going to want to miss his number, or open the Notes app on your phone. Whether you have health insurance or if you don't have it, but you want it at a reasonable price, you're not going to find it with Obamacare, where you can only sign up once a year with their high deductibles and limited networks. But you will find it with Cover Nash. Cover Nash has no limits or deadlines. Now, if you're paying for your own health insurance or if you have a few employees, you could be saving 30 to 60%. If you qualify, couples under 65 are saving $500 to $1,000 a month with better coverage. Shane knows what he's talking about. To find out more, all you have to do is hit up covernash.com for a complete quote form or call 615-465-0023. Right now, we all need a quality health insurance at affordable prices. That's why I recommend Shane Ring at Cover Nash. 615-465-0023. 615-465-0023, or go to covernash.com. That's covernash.com. A quality plan managed by you, not the government.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Donald Trump putting on a little McDonald's costume because he thinks that's what people do. They're not trying to empathize with us. They are making fun of us. They are making fun of us. Donald Trump thinks that people who work at McDonald's are a joke. Elon Musk thinks that dangling money in front of a working person is a cute thing to do when the election of our lives is before us. Because that's what people and billionaires like that do.
That's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And that right there is some glorious cope and seethe. Salt mining pre-November 5th has actually been pretty good. Pretty good for business if you're in the salt mining industry. I mean, AOC, what are you doing? Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I don't know how you can look at that McDonald's visit as anything other than a just massive success. And the cope and the seethe, it actually proves it. It proves my point. It does. It proves my point. I mentioned this to Dan off the air. I said, this was such a home run that the better move, right? Like if you're on the left, the better move is to just not talk about it at all. That's the move. Because then you're not going to get memed into the thing as well. And AOC's been memed because of that. I saw a video. Colin Roog posted it, and it's got Donald Trump waving from the drive-through window superimposed over that. AOC, what are you doing? The best thing to do is just not talk about it, right? Like, I don't understand why bring it up. Why bring it up if you're that angry? Also, I tweeted a meme yesterday at Chris Hand on Air. It said, Project 2025 is going to bring back the old school McDonald's uniforms. And I don't know if you've ever seen these.
Can we bring back the old school prices, too?
I would love that. That's the other thing I saw. All right, so first, the old school McDonald's uniforms are actually like a classy look. At Chris Hand on Air, if you haven't seen them. I quote tweeted it, and I said, MAGA. So anyway, the other one I saw was Trump had done like a commercial for a McDonald's burger back in the day. It's a big and tasty. You know how much it was? 99 cents. 99 cents. Yeah, let's bring back those prices. But the cope, the seethe from the left. I honestly, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I like it. Joy Reid had Michael Moore on the show, and they were. I mean, this is one of those meltdowns where it's just like one thing after another, from McDonald's to anything the Orange Man has done lately is awful. So it's Joy Reid and Michael Moore. Imagine the smell. But this is what they had to say about Orange Man.
Let me ask you this, because Donald Trump did a couple of stunts. His stunt, pretending like he was working at McDonald's. It was a closed McDonald's. It was a complete stunt. It was BS.
Yeah, well, yeah. It was a closed McDonald's, but it was a home run. Even Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks said, if you're looking at this and you don't view it as anything other than a home run, you're insane. And he's a rabid leftist. Everybody was pre-screened in the drive-through line. They wouldn't let anybody that didn't like Donald Trump through the drive-through line. It's like, well, yeah, nobody wants him to take a bullet.
Then he goes to North Carolina. That was in Pennsylvania. Then he goes to North Carolina, and he gets a French fry pin given to him by congressmen who before had to get rid of disinformation that Trump was spreading about the hurricane, and he was standing in front of hurricane damage, getting this pin. He's insulting Detroit workers, saying a child could do the work that auto workers do.
So a couple things here. He's not allowed to accept a gift in North Carolina. This evil man. How could he take a gift? The insulting auto workers thing. The comments were in regard to Mercedes-Benz putting their cars together here to be able to say that they're made in America. And he said, no, you're not actually making them here. You're assembling them, and that's different than what our auto workers in Detroit do. But hey. Listen, that's just the first 30 seconds, and we can debunk everything this rabid leftist Joy Reid is saying. But let's hear from Michael Moore.
Does that kind of stuff start to land? Just the insult, the repeated insults against working men and women.
Well, and over the weekend, he told the wives of Michigan to get your fat husbands off the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah. How dare Donald Trump say a joke without any context? These people, you don't hate the media enough.
To go vote. And it's like...
and insulting Detroit.
Detroit, yeah. He says America, America's going to end up like Detroit. America should be so grateful that they end up like Detroit.
Just with all of your manufacturing fleeing, 60% of the population of Detroit fleeing, the crime, the poverty. Yeah, we would love it. We would love it. They missed the part where Trick was in Detroit, who's from Detroit, and said we need Trump to make Detroit great again. Where people that actually live there are like, yeah, we want Trump.
I mean, just especially the way that Detroit has come back, it is coming back.
Absolutely.
And all the great things that are happening.
Listen, I want Detroit to come back. I love Detroit. My daughter was born right outside of Detroit. I lived there for a couple years. I honestly, truly love that city. I know it's a weird thing. I love it. I want it to come back as strong as it could ever come back. But what are you talking about? You drive through Detroit, the abandoned buildings are insane. There's a YouTube documentary, and it's a bit grainy now, and it doesn't, I don't know if it stands up to the test of time, but it's called Detroit on Fire. And it follows the fire departments in Detroit who have had their budget slashed time and time and time again. You know, the firefighters in Detroit, they have to hop on the highway and go a few exits to get to the calls. And there's so many fires in Detroit that there are like 5 different types of arson they describe in this video. There's like insurance arson. There's retaliation arson. So like you get into a fight with your neighbor and he firebombs your living room. There's arson to get rid of the vacant properties that have turned into crack houses and crack dens. Like there's insane. It's just insane. Everybody wants to be like Detroit, says Michael Moore. Even Detroiters who want to see the city come back, they acknowledge that it's not where it should be.
But there's always that tacit racism involved in statements like that.
It's racism. It's racism, guys. That's what it's about.
Oh, you're going to be like Detroit. You know,
Right.
It's like, you know,
Black run
it's
city.
like-
80% black city. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to point out it's a Democrat-run city. And if you look at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, pre-nuclear bomb, and then after the nuclear bomb went off, and then you look at Detroit before Democrat rule and after Democrat rule, you can make the argument it's easier to come back from an atomic bomb than it is to come back from 50 or 60 years of Democrat rule.
Exactly, right. You know, they have
Michael
a slogan in Cleveland. Their city slogan is, Cleveland, we're not Detroit. Okay. That's the kind of stuff we have to put up with as Detroiters and Flint people.
Poor Michael Moore. You know, even Cleveland makes fun of us. Have you ever seen that? There was a parody ad from, it was like a fake tourism video for Cleveland. Have you ever seen that? It was on YouTube some years ago. I might be able to find it. But essentially it was like Cleveland, and they're trying to sell Cleveland, and it's a terrible, terrible city, but at least we're not Detroit. And this is the stuff that Michael Moore is still so upset about. I got it right here. Have you ever heard? You haven't heard this? Okay, so this is like the running joke, and it was always the running joke. This is 15 years old. I can't believe this is 15 years old, this video. The YouTube is insane. This is 15 years old. It was like a fake Visit Cleveland video because at least we're not Detroit.
Fun times in Cleveland again. Still Cleveland. Come on down to Cleveland town, everyone. Under construction since 1868. See our river that catches on fire. It's so polluted that all our fish have AIDS. We see the sun almost 3 times a year. This guy has at least 2 DUIs. The flats look like a Scooby-Doo ghost town. Don't slow down in East Cleveland or you'll die. Our economy's based on LeBron James. Buy a house for the price of a VCR. Our main export is crippling depression. We're so eroded that we think this is art. It could be worse though, at least we're not Detroit. We're not Detroit.
He's still salty over a video that came out 15 years ago.
Aw, boo.
It's obviously that video that came out 15 years ago is obviously racism and Donald Trump's fault. You know, this is how you know that we're winning. The cope and the seethe. AOC. Oh, he's making fun of people that work at McDonald's. And it's like, all right, are you listening to your own leftist propaganda networks? Because even CNN was praising Donald Trump for the McDonald's visit.
I have to say, when I first saw that image of Trump kind of hanging out the drive-through window, a part of me thought, wow, is that real? I never thought he would do something like that. The Trump that we saw in 1999 in that old ad is the one that was much more familiar to me. Like, look, we're going to run this town, right? Like someone who owns a McDonald's, not someone who works in one. I mean, clearly they have a strategy to try to appeal to working class voters, try to, twist the knife on Harris. But I still found these images to be jarring.
Well, part of what is so striking about them is that he's not trying to not be Donald Trump. Like some politicians go and they try to dress up as somebody they're not. He's still got the red tie. He's still so clearly himself. And
we talked about that yesterday. A Twitter user had pointed out the iconic imagery of Trump with the apron on and the tie and the dress shirt and how it's so Americana. that old shopkeeper working the pharmacy. He's got the apron on. He's got the tie. It was there. There was a lot of levels to that McDonald's visit that if you just looked at it on the surface level, you'd miss. But CNN didn't miss it. CNN understands what he was doing there. AOC is just coping and seething. That's all they do. And if you look at what's happened since that McDonald's visit, the betting market, they love it. They love it. Poly market, I mean, it jumped 2 points after the McDonald's visit for Trump. So Trump now leads Harris by 24% on Poly market, which is where people are betting on who's going to win the presidential race. And he's surging in every swing state on Poly market. On Poly market in Arizona, Trump 70-30. Georgia 69-31. Pennsylvania 59-41. Wisconsin 58-42. Michigan 56-44. And Nevada, that's the closest, 54-46. Yet the nationwide on Poly market has Trump at 62.1 to Kamala Harris 37.6. This is really why they're coping and seething. It's because it worked. It's because it worked. And they're angry. They're angry that they don't have a candidate that could pull it off. They're angry that they didn't think of it first. And they're just downright angry. They're angry about everything. They're angry about everything. One of the other things that they've been angry about is Elon Musk and his money giveaway. We talked about that a lot yesterday. I'm on record, and this is just me. It does feel a bit icky because if it was a Democrat doing it, I would be on this station railing against it. But when you hear how upset it makes everybody else, I'm kind of coming around to it. You got to hear the reaction from Karine Jean-Pierre on Elon Musk and the $1 million giveaway, plus the audio from Mark Cuban on Elon Musk and the $1 million giveaway. Both are fantastic. Both are filled with cope and seethe. If you're in the salt mining industry, you're going to want to stick around for this. It's 10:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey everybody, Dan Mandis with Super Talk 99.7 WTN and Nashville's Morning News. Right now, we are bringing results for our clients using both our radio and digital assets. 2025 is going to be a huge year, not only here in Tennessee, but of course, across America. If you want to jump on board, again, we're offering great incentives. Find us online, 997WTN.com, and let's talk.
Civil rights attorney Ben Crump calling for accountability in Georgia. We'll tell you about it at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. It's 10:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We've been cataloging the cope and seethe and salt from the left. And this one's pretty good. Mark Cuban, who I don't understand why they're sending Mark Cuban out there with his best Rachel Maddow glasses, but they are. They are. He was doing an interview with, I think this was CNBC, and you can just hear in his voice and the way he talks how much cope and seethe he has because of Elon Musk and the $1 million giveaway.
Let's talk about Elon Musk. He's been critical of you. You've been critical of him. What do you make in particular of this weekend's new effort to get people to the polls that he is using $1 million a day? He's offering up for those who effectively sign his petition and register to vote.
I mean, it's innovative and it's desperate. You know, you only do that because you think you have to, but, you know, using a sweepstakes is not a bad idea. Whether or not it'll work is a whole nother thing. It just as easily could backfire, but you don't know until you try.
Do you think it's legal?
I mean, I actually looked into it. I initially thought it might not have been, but as a sweepstakes, it looks like it may be.
Oh. You can hear it in his voice. He's so demoralized. Well, it's innovative. It's innovative, but it's also desperate, and it's also legal. Bummer. A lot of people being asked about it, including Karine Jean-Pierre. KJP, you expect a straight answer out of her? Let's find out together after the news with Ken Weaver on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 11 o'clock on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And right now in Goodlettsville, drivers, we've got a rolling roadblock. The right lane is blocked. Vietnam Veterans Boulevard westbound right before 65. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And civil rights attorney Ben Crump calling for accountability and a federal investigation after 7 people died when a docks gangway collapsed off the coast of Georgia. People were headed to a ferry during a cultural celebration this weekend. 20 people fell into the water, and authorities say some people jumped in the water to try and save others. Crump says negligence played a part in their deaths.
They were there for a celebration, and it turned into tragedy because of malfeasance and inadequate infrastructure.
People were visiting Sapelo Island for a festival celebrating the Gullah Geechee community, who are descendants of African slaves. Tennessee's entire congressional delegation sent a letter urging House and Senate leaders to provide meaningful federal aid for farmers affected by Hurricane Helene. The letter comes after the Department of Agriculture last week announced affected states like North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and others would receive $223 million in aid, but Tennessee wasn't included. A couple of disaster loan outreach centers are opening today in Murray and Sumner counties to help people affected by severe tornadoes and flooding that happened on May 8th of this year. They are in Columbia at Murray County Fire Station 30, and a second center will open at the Gallatin Public Utilities. Both centers will operate Monday through Saturday. One person died in Murray County during the May 8th tornado. More than 100 homes were damaged. Areas of Sumner County dealt with severe flooding. Mount Juliet police say a recent heist of Legos from a Walmart store is part of a national trend.
Shoplifters know it's a high-ticket item, so what they're going to do is they're going to go steal it and then try to sell it. So it is a hot commodity. Lego is for shoplifters.
That's Tyler Chandler from the Mount Juliet Police Department speaking to News 2. In last weekend's case, 3 people were arrested after a chase through Wilson County. He said police deployed spike strips to stop the car.
And then once they're looking in the vehicle, it's loaded up with Lego.
Thousands of dollars worth of Lego. All 3 suspects were arrested and booked into the Wilson County Jail. A dangerous situation in Hermitage getting some new scrutiny. NDOT installed what they called a temporary traffic circle at Jacksonian Drive and Bonnet Creek Drive to get drivers to slow down, but It's too confusing for some drivers.
We had an incident on Friday afternoon where a Metro Nashville public school bus couldn't get through, had to use a side street.
It's causing more confusion than anything else if you're not sure how to go about getting around that thing.
And residents said it's not very attractive either. NDOT removed that roundabout, but now drivers are speeding through that intersection again. Officials considering a four-way stop instead. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.1106 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for asking. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I'll follow back. Just send me a message if you have one of those weird usernames that look like a Russian bot. So that way I know you're real. Appreciate it. Or just like a tweet or something. We got a big party happening. 2 weeks away from the biggest election of our lifetime. Of all time. In the history of the country. And we want to celebrate that with you. We want to party with you. November 5th. We're going to be live at the Wilson County Fairgrounds, the James E. Ward Agricultural and Community Center. That's the actual location, the Tennessee building. And we got plenty of room. Free to join. So come on out. Bring a friend. Bring the kids. It's going to be a good night. I have a feeling it's going to be a good night. Now, if you want to up your game a little bit, it is free to attend, but you can purchase VIP tickets, and they're going fast. We've already sold like 70% of them. So if you've been thinking about getting these tickets, you're running out of time because there's a limited number available. So I would do that today if I were you. The VIP ticket gives you all the food you want, all the beverages you want, gives you reserved seating in the front. And if you've been to any of our events, you understand how high of a priority reserved seating is. Plus, you get a WTN goodie bag for our VIP friends. So you can get those tickets at 997WTN.com. Just click on events, and you'll find it. It's right there. I mean, it pops up as soon as you get to 997WTN.com. It's not hard to find. But we want you there one way or another, whether you're just showing up and doing the free thing or whether you're getting the VIP tickets. It's going to be a great time. There's going to be food trucks. There's going to be vendors. We're going to have a blast. More of a blast than the leftist media has been having. More of a blast than the Biden-Harris administration has been having. You know, Elon Musk has been He's been touring Pennsylvania over the past few days, giving away $1 million. He's going to give away $1 million every day until the election. And the only thing you have to do is sign his petition. A lot of people have been saying, is this legal? Governor Josh Shapiro, we're going to look into this. And you have to realize Elon wouldn't do this without looking into it first himself. So obviously it's legal. Even Mark Cuban himself said, yeah, I looked into it. It's legal. Womp womp, you know, sad trombone. But Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about this during the White House press briefing yesterday. She was actually asked a series of questions about Elon Musk. And do you think we're going to get a straight answer out of KJP?
Elon Musk is pledging to give away $1 million every day up until the election to voters in battleground states. Some experts are saying this is clearly illegal vote buying. Does the White House believe what he's doing is illegal?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about illegal vote buying and pumping money into elections. It's not a problem when George Soros is doing it or when Alex Soros is doing it or when Mark Zuckerberg was doing it. It's a problem now because they fear it's going to help conservatives. That's the main issue that the leftist media has with this, but it's not illegal. Karine Jean-Pierre, the floor is yours.
So I'm going to have to refer you to the FEC. I'm not going to comment from here.
Oh, yeah. No comment. No comment. Okay.
Can you talk about how the president's reacting to this in terms of, does he believe it's appropriate? Does he agree with what Governor Shapiro is saying about how this needs to be investigated?
What about Joe? What does he think about it? It's like, well, you know, he doesn't do much thinking these days.
I would leave it to Governor Shapiro and the legal authorities to speak to this. I'm just not going to speak to it from here. I would have to leave it to FEC. And if you could just talk broadly about what Trump has also said about making Musk the head of a new government efficiency commission. Does the White House see that as a conflict of interest, given the fact that Musk's companies have so many contracts with government agencies, and it could potentially give him the power to regulate the agencies that hold sway over his own companies? Well, since that's a campaign-related item there, what they're planning to do next, or what it looks like under, you know, and their platform for his campaign, I'm just not going to respond to it from here. Any reaction from the president or White House about Elon Musk's role at this moment in the political discussion? I have no response, no comment on that.
So if you're keeping score at home, that was 4 questions about Elon Musk and 4 non-answers from our fantastic, very qualified press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre. 4 up, 4 down, moving on. She doesn't have any answers for it because she can't say anything about it. I got to leave it to the FCC. That's an election question. I can't do anything. Now, Elon has actually been getting into a spat with the Michigan Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, I believe is her name, Jocelyn Benson, because Jocelyn's on record saying that our ballots won't be in until November 6th. But we won't have results for the election in Michigan until November 6th. Now, you've probably seen this tweet floating around. I know a lot of people have been retweeting it, but the numbers, it's really comical that Michigan can't get this done on election day because Texas has over 30 million people. Florida has over 22 million people, and they're going to be reporting the winner on election night. But Wisconsin, they have a little under 6 million. Michigan has about 10 million. Georgia has a little over 11 million. None of those will be able to report the winner on election night. Can you make that make sense? So the Michigan Secretary of State has caught the ire of Elon Musk because of this. And Jocelyn Benson put on Twitter, in regards to a claim by Elon Musk that there are more registered voters on the rolls than eligible citizens, she said, let's be clear, Elon Musk is spreading dangerous disinformation. Here are the facts. There aren't more voters than citizens in Michigan. There are 7.2 million active registered voters and 7.9 citizens of voting age in our state. Musk is pushing a misleading number that includes 1.2 million inactive records slated for removal in accordance with the law. Don't feed the trolls. Get trusted info at michigan.gov/electionfacts. But Elon points out, Jocelyn Michelle Benson, shame on you for blatantly lying to the public. You only plan to remove the ineligible voters after this election. That necessarily means that there are far more people registered to vote than there are eligible voters. She has yet to respond. This is the same Secretary of State, mind you, that is refusing to remove RFK Jr. from the ballot, that tried to remove Cornel West from the ballot, that opened an investigation into the Musk-backed pro-Trump PAC, and was awarded the Presidential Citizens Medal by Biden for protecting the integrity of elections in 2023. She's totally on the up and up, right? Nothing to worry about there. But Michigan's got some issues for the Democrats. We've seen one of their Senate candidates trying to back away from Kamala Harris. And when you listen to people on the ground in Michigan, it's understandable why they're not really mesmerized by Kamala Harris the way the Democrats want them to be. This one Michigan voter, elderly woman and her husband, both African-American, that they said, we're not really buying what Kamala's selling because neither of us have uteruses.
Focus in on abortion. We have constitutional protected abortion here in Michigan. It's not an issue. I don't have a uterus anymore. My husband never had a uterus, but we have utility bills. We have grocery bills.
Yeah, we have bills to pay. Your focus is on abortion. I actually saw a ticker on CNN earlier this morning that says that in the days leading up to the election, Kamala Harris is going to put more of a focus on abortion. I don't think that's going to move the needle with people in Michigan. And they really are leaning into this. Kamala actually did an ad, and this is I don't know. I think this ad's disgusting, personally. It's with Andy Cohen, Ben Stiller, and Doug Emhoff. Also, First Doug's daughter. I don't know her name, whatever. But they're talking about being girl dads. And this commercial that she put together, it's about a minute long, and it's really just one large abortion ad.
About being a girl dad. I love how much smarter she is than all the guys in the room already. I can tell that she's going to be a powerhouse. She is already at 2.5.
My daughter's 22 and a half. Is a feminist, incredibly strong, and has really just inspired me in so many ways. I love her.
I'm the proud dad of Ella over here.
My vote for Kamala is an investment in my daughter's future.
I agree. I'm right there with you.
When the Dobbs decision came out 2+ years ago, I heard from Kamala right away, and then the next person was Ella.
This is the craziest thing to me. We're all girl dads, and here's what we want. We want our daughters to get abortions in the future. What? What dad wants his daughter to get an abortion? This is the pivot. We're girl dads, and we love our daughters, and also we want them to get abortions.
He texted me right away, essentially saying we need to fight. This is not just an issue for women. This is an issue for men and families. And this is one of the many, many reasons why we've got to elect Kamala as president.
Never in my lifetime did I think that we would be having to fight for this and the fight for our own bodies.
Never in your lifetime? I mean, I remember actually a big fight just a couple of years ago when the government was trying to force a vaccine on the entire population. You've never envisioned a fight for your body? We just went through one, actually. We just went through one. Also, it's not your body, it's the baby. And, you know, all these girl dads could actually have a conversation with their daughters about not having premarital sex or preaching abstinence or talking about, I don't know, birth control. Instead of saying, we got to stick up for our daughters and we got to make sure that they can have abortions in the future. So that's a weird take. But the Michigan voters say, listen, all Kamala is doing is talking about abortion, and that doesn't speak to us. No kidding, it doesn't speak to them. No kidding. I don't know how this speaks to anybody. When you're looking at the prices that you're dealing with, when you're looking at the lack of jobs in this country, you know, the first thing that comes to my mind is we need more abortion. Yeah, right? But they got a problem in Michigan, and auto workers in Macomb County, they're voting for Trump.
Macomb County, Michigan. These suburbs just north of Detroit are a blue-collar bellwether.
Joseph Knowles about to send a message, about to defy his union leadership, about to vote Republican for president for the first time, about to vote for Donald Trump.
And at this point now, I'm desperate. So I'm willing to try anything right now to make sure that I can fulfill my responsibility and to take care of my wife and kids. That's all I care about.
Knowles is a union auto worker, one of 1,100 just laid off by Stellantis, the parent company of Chrysler Jeep. He blames corporate greed the most, but doesn't stop there.
The second blame, I will put it on Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. Why? Because of the EV mandates. I thought the Democratic Party was for the working class, people, the average Joe like me. That's what I thought.
Yeah, well, you thought wrong, and it's the Democrat Party that cost you your job. And there's so many auto workers like that gentleman. CNN had another one, 30-year Michigan auto worker, and he's saying just at his factory alone, it's more than half are going to be voting for Donald J. Trump.
Bill Govier is a 30-plus year union worker at Ford, and he has this side business cleaning car underbodies. When we first visited 4 months ago, he was a fan of Robert Kennedy Jr. Now, he will cast his third ballot for Trump.
RFK joining Trump effectively, I couldn't script it any better the way I would like it to be. I love the idea of Donald Trump being the commander-in-chief. I love the idea of how Donald Trump handles the nefarious characters in the world.
Govier believes more than half of UAW members at his Ford plant will vote Trump. He says Harris laughs too much, and he can't take her seriously.
That's my favorite part at the end there. Harris laughs too much, and I can't take her seriously. But they have a real problem in Michigan. And Politico believes that the uncommitted movement could lose Harris, Michigan. The uncommitted movement being the Arab American voters who don't like her stance on Israel and Gaza. They think that that's going to cost her Michigan. And I think it will too. I think that's going to be a huge part of Michigan. Because, see, Harris just doesn't understand Arab voters. And Trump understands Arab voters better than Kamala Harris ever will. And I'm not sure that this was on anybody's bingo card. He actually posted on Truth Social the other night, Arab voters are very upset that Comrade Kamala Harris, the worst vice president in history of the United States and a low IQ individual, is campaigning with dumb as a rock war hawk Liz Cheney, who, like her father, the man that pushed Bush to ridiculously go to war in the Middle East, also wants to go to war with every Muslim country known to mankind. Remember, Liz Cheney lost her congressional seat by the largest margin, 40% in history for a sitting congressperson. If Kamala gets 4 more years, the Middle East will spend the next 4 decades going up in flames, and your kids will be going off to war, maybe even a third world war, something that will never happen with Donald Trump in charge. For our own country's sake and for your kids, vote Trump for peace. And that's what's going to cost them Michigan. Right there. Auto workers and the Muslim vote. 100%. It's 11:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and my friends at Kingdom Fence Company want to let their fence tell the story of your land. I know Dave, the owner over at Kingdom Fence Company, great guy, and they put their faith in their company so that way you can put your faith in their fence no matter what you need, from farm, agriculture, to commercial, to residential, new, repair, or insurance. They got you covered. All you got to do is pick up the phone and call them, 615-390-5891, 615-390-5891, or hit the website, kingdomfencecompanyllc.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
We got a crash, drivers. It is 40 westbound right before Fessler's Lane, and it is the second left lane that is blocked. We're learning about a deadly crash in Rutherford County and a renewed push for Metro Council to fund the return of license plate reader cameras coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 11:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Trump's been all over the campaign trail. I mean, he was in just throwing banger after banger down in North Carolina yesterday. And, 60 Minutes released that statement, and a lot of the guys were talking about it yesterday. The statement where they admitted that they edited the Kamala Harris interview, but at the same time said it wasn't for any other reason other than time. Oh, okay. I don't know if you heard Murphy yesterday, but, I mean, he brought down the heat on that. It's like everybody wants the interview, and you decide to edit out over half of it. Okay, that's a hot take. That's a take. Trump addressed this in Greenville, North Carolina yesterday, and Trump, man, is just Trump being Trump.
No, they should lose their license for that, right? The fake news is protected. How dare he say that? Why would he ever say lose it? They took her answer, threw it out, and gave her a new answer, and they're trying to defend it. Boy, can you imagine if that happened with me? It would be over. The electric chair. And by the way, does anybody have any doubt that they worked with her campaign to get rid of that stupid answer? She's a mess. She's a cognitive mess, and nobody wants to talk about it. And we can't have 4 more years. We had 4 years of it. We can't take another 4 years of it, can we?
Nope, we can't. She's a mess. She's a cognitive mess. I love it. He continued, man. He's just going at her. Kamala can't say what she'd do different than Biden. And then at the end of this, he drops a gem that I'm sure has some truth around it.
After all the catastrophe she has caused, Kamala Harris can't say one thing that she'd do differently from Sleepy Joe Biden. Not one thing. And all she had to do is go to him and say, wake him up, wake him up, wake him up. We're going to sign an order, close the border. And it's closed. She didn't need a bill.
No, she didn't. But they didn't do that. What they did was they dismantled all the Trump-era policies, and then they sued every state trying to do their own thing to fix it. They've been actively working against securing the border.
And we want people to come into our country, but they have to come in legally, right? They have to come in legally. And I'm asking you to be excited about the future of our country again. You're not excited. It's hard to get excited with these people, with Biden. Just get excited about Biden. But nobody was excited, and they went to him, terrible thing, and they said, we want you out. He said, no, I'm not going to do that. We want you out. Well, he said, if you put it that way, okay. No, I mean, think of it. This was the overthrow of a president of the United States. He didn't want to get out. In fact, the word is that he likes me more than he likes Kamala. I believe that's
listen, it's hard not to believe that. It's hard not to believe that. I mean, you look at what Biden's been doing from the moment he put on the Trump hat in Pennsylvania to then actively counter-programming Kamala on The View by doing his first White House press briefing, to then, Kamala saying, Ron DeSantis is playing political games with the hurricane, and then he comes out and says, Ron DeSantis has done a great job. You know what I mean? I truly do believe that Biden likes Trump more than he likes Kamala. I think everybody likes Trump more than they like Kamala, especially the people that work for her. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we've got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Right now, we got a problem in traffic. It's going to be 40 westbound right before Fessler's Lane. A crash is blocking the left 2 lanes. And we're learning about a crash in Rutherford County that killed 5 people. Channel 4's Carly Gordon says it shut down I-24 for hours.
The crash happened last Thursday on I-24. At the time, we knew that a van had overturned under the Highway 96 overpass and that emergency responders pulled multiple people out. Well, Tennessee Highway Patrol just released their preliminary crash report. We now know the driver, Pam Tan Hong, died. 4 of his passengers died as well. Their names are Kong Adam Beeb, Pham Hung Van, and William Bolia. 3 more passengers were hurt. One of them is a 17-year-old. We don't know the extent of their injuries.
And the man who was accused of drunk driving into a crowd of tourists, killing one, was supposed to be in court today, but that has been rescheduled. Happened last Thursday night, early Friday morning. 25-year-old John Williams accused of being drunk when he drove up onto the curb into a crowd of people on the sidewalk at 4th and Commerce, killing a Wisconsin man, Leroy Wanke, and injuring many of that Wisconsin man's relatives. He was not the only person killed in a crash downtown this weekend. Prominent New Jersey lawyer Michael O'Connell killed in the crosswalk with a walk sign on Lower Broad Saturday. Now there are calls for safety improvements, but Walk Bike Nashville telling Channel 4 all of the resources the city uses to protect pedestrians was there. It's really up to drivers to be more aware to save lives, they say.
Especially people, and especially when we are downtown and in areas where we need to anticipate that there are going to be pedestrians and people walking to get where they want and need to go.
Tourists say they would like to see more road closures downtown to keep pedestrians safe. And that's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. If you have been paying attention to the weather, it's up, it's down, and that's just in one day. You're turning on your heat in the morning to get the chill out of the air. You're turning on the AC in the afternoon to get rid of the heat in the house. Well, if you haven't gotten your system serviced the best way, the Busy Bee way, you might be spooked when your heater stops working, but don't be spooked. Call Busy Bee today and get your system serviced and sign up for that Beehive Club membership because it'll pay for itself. For $99, you can get 3 annual tune-ups, 1 for your cooling, 1 for your heating, 1 for your plumbing, a 10% discount on all repairs, priority front-of-the-line service, and a $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000, plus no overtime or holiday fees. Again, that's for as little as $99. When you need to have your heater serviced, you do it with the best. You call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They're your Rude Pro partner, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. Or you can hit up the website, busybeehvac.com. 11:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I want to talk about Diddy. I do. There's new allegations surfacing, but real quick before we get to that, did you see the Newsweek headline? The Newsweek posted a headline. Trump appears to post fake image of himself as a star NFL player. He tweeted an AI image of him jacked in a Steelers uniform before he went to the Steelers game. I said Newsweek, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
Kind of grasping at
What are you doing?
You can't blame a man for having fun with AI for a little bit.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I mean, listen, if Trump was on the field, he would have recorded a few sacks. But I mean, he's in this Steelers uniform, number 47, looking jacked. I thought it was hilarious. Newsweek, Trump posting fake image of himself. That's not him. That liar.
Guys, don't fall for it. It's fake.
Like, what are we talking about? What are we doing here? These people. What a bunch of clowns. What a bunch of clowns.
I don't know, man. I mean, you know what? It could be real. We don't know what's under that suit.
Listen, I'm waiting for somebody to tell me it wasn't. All right, let's get serious. New accusations out on Diddy. And I think that this is a story that's been underreported, but it's a big story. It's a big story. All right, so let me give you the rundown of the new accusation. The new accusation is that Diddy is accused of raping a 13-year-old girl while two celebrities watched at a VMA after party. Horrifying. Disgusting. The girl was dropped off by a friend at Music Hall in New York City before being noticed by a man who claimed to be Diddy's limo driver. And then it just gets vile. The limo driver allegedly told the girl that Diddy liked younger girls and that she fit what Diddy was looking for. The incident allegedly happened in 2000, and the girl was forced to sign an NDA, which I don't know how that works if she's 13. Like, if you can't consent to anything, how can you consent to an NDA? But you fast forward a little bit. So the limo driver gets this girl. Later on in the evening, the girl was taken to Diddy by the driver. This is all according to these new allegations. She was given a drink at the after party and began to feel woozy. She went to a room to lie down but did not lock the door. According to the lawsuit, Diddy eventually entered the room with two celebrities, one man and a woman. Celebrity A held the girl down and, assaulted her while Combs and Celebrity B, a female, watched. When Celebrity A was done, Combs then assaulted the girl as well while the other two watched. Combs then allegedly tried to force the girl to do more, but she struck him in the neck, wandered around the house with no clothes on until she eventually found an exit. These are horrifying accusations about Diddy. And I think a lot more needs to come out about this. Elon had shared this tweet. It's a meme that's been going around, and he had the on target thing as his caption. But it's a Venn diagram. Kamala Harris really likes Venn diagrams. But it says the one circle says Epstein guest list, the other circle says Diddy guest list, and in the middle that overrides says all the celebrities coming out to support Kamala Harris. And I thought that this was on point because if you remember a few weeks back, Usher was on The View, and this is the day after the debate between Harris and Trump, and he's on The View, and he has this non-statement about who he's supporting.
See that we're in. I think that behooves artists to come out and speak for Kamala against Donald Trump because he is an existential threat to the country. What do you say to that?
You know what? I don't get too deep into politics. I didn't get a chance to watch the debate last night. I obviously have been watching like everybody else. I think voting is an individual choice, and I think that you're right. You have to look at the reality of the country that we are and the country that we want to be, and find the candidate that you feel both are who fits the category of where we want to be. Yeah. And that's it. And that's what you vote based off of. Who you highlight and how you choose to highlight it on whatever platform you have is your prerogative.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, that's right. I'm really.
So when I first saw that, I was like, wow, okay, that's a way to say you're voting for Trump without saying you're voting for Trump, right? This is until he was in Georgia endorsing Kamala Harris, which is just it seems like a shocking turn of events, but Usher went on stage and endorsed Kamala Harris.
I love you more, but I love Kamala Harris even more. I want her to be our next president of the United States.
So if you're keeping score at home, The View tried to make Usher endorse Kamala, and he was out. He wasn't going to do it. Then in between that and this endorsement, Diddy got taken down. Usher's name obviously comes up. There's a lot of allegations about what happened to Justin Bieber as a child. Diddy had what was it? Guardianship over Usher. Usher had guardianship over Bieber. Usher essentially loaned Bieber out for a weekend to P. Diddy, which is all documented on MTV of all places. And so Diddy gets taken down. And in between all this, now he's on stage for Kamala. And it begs the question, it begs the question, is this a coincidence? Or did the people that got the compromat from Diddy say, hey, Usher, we actually have these tapes? You know, it always blows my mind. Epstein gets busted, and we hear every room in the house is wired for video and sound. Diddy gets busted, and we hear every room in the house is wired for video and sound. And then we never see the video or the sound, and we never hear who's on the video, and we never hear any of that. But then people have to come out and say things like, I'm voting for Kamala Harris. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but it does seem that the timing is interesting. Over a month ago, he was asked about politics and pressed on The View for a Kamala Harris interview. He didn't take it. Now he's done a 180, and he's actually on the campaign trail for Kamala Harris. Listen, the memes got to be true, right? The overlap from the Epstein client list and the Diddy client list are celebrities that are endorsing Kamala. There's got to be some truth to that meme, does there not? I think there's a little truth to that meme. Just a little bit. How much truth? I hope one day we find out. But I've stopped holding my breath on the Epstein stuff. Have you stopped holding your breath on the Epstein stuff? I mean, the last Epstein drip we got was the lawsuits where Bill Clinton was named, and Bill is still out on the campaign trail for Kamala. Like, do people even care? Do Democrat voters even care? You would think that this would be one of the biggest stories in the country. Yeah, we don't get anything from the mainstream media, nothing from ABC, nothing from CBS, nothing from Fox, a little bit here and there from like TMZ, but you would think people would be demanding answers. And I do think a lot more is going to come out about Diddy, but not soon enough, man. Not soon enough. But I definitely think somebody has some dirt on Usher somewhere. They just have to. They have to. There's too much here to imagine that this is all just a happy little coincidence. Way too much. Way too much. So that's the Diddy update. Dems are still trying to win males. They have a male voter problem. And Governor Tim Walz was on The View yesterday, and somebody must have some compromise on Tim Walz too, I'd imagine. But he's on The View trying to act manly, and even The View brings up the fact that right-wingers are going after him because he can't load a gun the right way.
So you're out hunting pheasants.
Yep.
Is that enough to convince people there's a middle ground on this issue? Because right now, right-wingers are coming after you for how you handle your shotgun.
Well, I can shoot better than all of them. I guarantee it. I got the trophies to prove it.
Yeah, well, we have the video of you having an issue loading your shotgun. Charlemagne said Tim Walz doesn't excite other white people. That was his take. that they should have picked a white guy that would excite other white people.
And stay off the yard, please. Take him to the student center, and that's it.
What Jay-Z said, did Jay-Z
The
say,
library.
what Jay-Z say he had a spark when he started, but now he's just garbage?
Now he's garbage.
I don't think he garbage, you know what I'm saying? But it's just like, I don't see the impact.
He be chilling.
We don't
That's
need
the
that
problem.
right now.
That's
We
the
don't need you
problem.
chilling.
That's the
Maybe
problem.
chilling.
Okay, we need you on the front lines, okay? You need a white man that excites other white people.
Well, I can speak on this as a white guy. Not excited by Tim Walz at all. Mason, you're a white guy, right? You excited by Tim Walz?
Last I checked, I'm a white guy. Yeah, and no, I am not.
Oh, well, that's that. I think that's the problem.
Not a fan of the coach.
No, he's doing coach stuff. He actually did like this whole little video where he's like game planning out what Project 2025 looks like on a whiteboard. He's like, yeah, we don't believe you, but they understand that men are an issue, and Kamala's decided to put ads on DraftKings to go after the dudes. I don't think it's going to work. She's also putting out ads saying women won't date you unless you're going to vote for Kamala. I don't think that's going to work either. They can keep trying, though. They can keep trying. It's 11:48 on Super Talk. 99.7 WTN on the way. We're going to check in with Murphy. I see him mulling about. And I wonder if something is making him upset today. I'm going to ask him the question. He's been in a good mood lately, so I'm like, there's got to be something getting under his skin. We'll find out next. It's 11:48 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Matt Murphy with Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 2024 is coming to a close, and what a great year it was. We are looking forward to an exciting 2025, and we want you to be a part of it. If you're looking for marketing or digital strategy for your business, we want to be on your team. It is a wonderful three-legged stool. You, me, and the listener, and we want to be a part of your family. So join us at 997wtn.com/epic to find out more, and we'll see you in 2025.
11:56 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Matt Murphy sitting across from me. What's up, dude?
I'm very busy.
He's busy.
I'm very, very busy.
What are you working on?
So I was looking up the ingredients to candy corn.
Is it a few molecules away from plastic?
No, it's all sugar and corn syrup.
So even worse, you're telling me.
I mean, depending on your perspective, your point of view. I remember a time where I heard someone say, it's neither candy nor corn.
I saw somebody send a text in today that if you stack it the right way, it
looks like a corn
on the cob. Yeah,
that's right. Well, they're supposed to look like corn kernels, but I mean,
Who?
I've also heard the theory that they made an initial batch of candy corn, and because nobody eats it, we're just restocking with that initial batch every year.
They've only made it once. I saw a guy on Twitter melt down his candy corn, and then he wrapped it around a hot dog to make a candy corn dog.
Okay, I'm in.
And I thought, what kind of evil is this?
Oh yeah, that you know what that sounds like to me, Chris Ann?
Time to repent?
America. No, sounds like America.
I feel like that.
So I'm listening to this boy. So I hope, I don't know where the nature of the conversation came from, but I hope I was a little bit of an inspiration because I posted something on a couple of my socials. It was pretty funny. It's a little cartoon, and it's like a little candy corn. He's got little eyes, little hands, and he's looking in a mirror, and he goes, well, I like me. That's pretty funny.
That's just you, pal.
I was like, I like you too, candy corn.
It's funny. I've seen the same meme, but it's with Kamala Harris.
Well, I like candy corn more than Kamala Harris.
I will go on record to say, yes, I as well like candy corn more than Kamala Harris.
And you don't like candy corn like at all.
No, but
more than Harris.
Leaves less of a bad taste in my mouth.
It just goes to show you everything's perspective, right?
Yeah.
Everything's relative to where you happen to be standing at any given moment, right?
It's the truth.
What's going on today?
Not much. We've been
election.
We've been talking election stuff.
A little politics.
Yeah,
I feel pretty good.
You're still feeling good?
I think the desperation is, as the desperation ramps up, it confirms in my mind that everything is exactly where it should be.
I saw a Chiron, a little ticker on CNN that said Harris is going to focus more on abortion in the last few days to the election. I said, okay. I played a clip of a Michigan woman, this elderly woman and her husband. She goes, I don't have a uterus anymore, but I have grocery bills.
There's no question, right? I mean, I don't know. Here, that's the campaign of joy, right?
That's joy.
I mean, we've seen the comparisons, and we've played the comparisons. The campaign of joy is screaming and yelling about the end of democracy, and the campaign of the fascist is happy. He's serving fries. He's giving people extra McNuggets in their Happy Meal.
Yo, seven nuggets.
Seven
in a 6-piece.
Give it. What are we talking about?
I saw one meme with AI. It's Trump with a drill and ice cream machine's fixed.
No, it's great.
It's so good.
I think Trump should come out at some point, bouncing off of the success of last weekend, and say, America, I've talked to the executives of McDonald's. Donald Trump's president, 6-piece McNuggets, 7 McNuggets in every 6-piece. 4 years. Everyone.
It would be done. It would be over
just
right
take
there.
care of it.
What are you talking about on the show?
We're going to talk a little local politics with the transit tax in the 2 o'clock hour with Courtney Johnson, who I regret not voting for. I regret, and I'm going to tell her this to her face, that I had it out with Courtney Johnson. I now regret not voting for her for the 5th Congressional District because Andy Ogles is MIA. I'm going to tell her that. We're going to talk about LPRs. We're going to talk about the transit tax. And, of course, we're talking about the presidential election.
Where is Andy Ogles?
That's a great question.
I've hit them up. I know you've hit them up.
He's missing. And all I keep hearing is that he doesn't have his phone. But I see him tweeting. I mean, he knows where the Twitter handle is.
You could go into any CVS and get a burner phone.
But he doesn't know where we are. So, he's MIA for his district, and I voted for him in the primary, and I'm kind of regretting that. So we'll talk about that today.
All right. Voter regret with Murphy on The Murphy Show. It's 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.